Yes.
What? Yes, Lipika?
No,
Lipali?
no, ma'am. Recording about the recording.
Yeah, yeah. I started. Okay. Today we will discuss about the second important group of the compound, that is a basically fat, or you can say lipid also, है ना? In the uh, okay. So we will discuss about the fat. So basically, fat are like carbohydrates, or also the compounds of the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, in the protein there is a one of element attached, that is a nitrogen, and fat are all like the compounds of the carbohydrates, and they are very essential part of our body. They actually they almost sixth part of our body. Uh, they are present in our body, or 18 to 25% of our the body mass. This term lipid basically coined by the scientist, that is a blue, and the proportion of this the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is actually the oxygen atoms are usually very small in the uh, fat. So the cells and the tissues of our body have actually fat as an integral part. Um, and the vital organs like the brain, heart, liver basically are protected by the fat or the lipids. So the nerves are also protected by fat because they need very security. If they get easily damaged, then we suffered a lot of disease actually. That's why the protection of these organs or the part of our body needed, so that get protected by the layer of a fat. And a layer of fat basically beneath our skin, which also gives us act as a insulation, as a thermal coat to our body. So against the coat, it's against any cold season, so it maintains a temperature of our body. And the fat, this fat is also um, uh, present around the joints and act as a lubricant, so that the uh, movement of that joint becomes smooth. And it's a very important part of our body. So the term basically fat also includes the fat or the oil, है ना, which is basically greasy and insoluble in water. So fat are best known members of a chemical group called the lipids. So lipids or the fats or the oils under the same category, you can say so. They constitute an important part of our the Indian dietary, and the supply of around 10 to 30% of our total energy needs happen by the fat. So food fats are there. Uh, in our body they are present, but in the food fats which we are the fats which we derived from the food are includes the solid fats, liquid oils, and other components also. So let us discuss what is basically fat basically made up of the important constituent of all fat and oils are the fatty acid and cholesterol. Like in the protein, they are made up of the amino acids, and in the carbohydrates they are made up of the sugar and multiple chains of the sugar makes a monosaccharides, disaccharides. Like this, fat are also made up of the fatty acids and glycerol also. So fatty acid is the basically the main building block of fats. They are basically composed of chain, and that chain is made up of a carbon atom with the other elements like hydrogen, oxygen, and the main component is carbon, and hydrogen, oxygen, and other all element also attached with this carbon. So example of some fatty acid, like have you heard about the palm oil? That is a palmitic, actually stearic. There is oleic, linoleic acids. These are basically the example of this fatty acids. So the fatty acids have a methyl group at one end and a carboxyl group at the other end, with the chain of the carbon and the hydrogen, है ना? तो carbon and hydrogen in the middle, and one part with the carbon, one methyl group is attached and one carboxyl group is attached. That make a fatty acid. Okay, so the fatty acid further classified also in different categories on the basis of the length of the chain. When one fatty acid attached to other one and it makes a chain, so the category of fatty acids actually made a cover like this. Here the element will be the carbon. This is a carbon. Carbon gets attached with this hydroxy group. This is oxygen. Then R chain. R chain, yeah, this is a side chain. It can be methyl, ethyl type of a alcohol, which makes this fatty acid unique, basically, like this. This is the carboxyl group. This is the carbon. This is the hydrogen. Multiples you seen. These are the chains. One carbon is attached with this. These are the actually one fatty acid chain. Like this is the one, and multiple fatty acids are attached with each other and make a unique uh, type of oil, you can say so, or the fat. Okay, so uh, shorter chain of fatty acid at least have the 10 or more than the 10 carbon atoms. One carbon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like this. So if they have the 10 or less than 10, then it is a shorter chain. If more than 10, around 12 to 20, then it is a long chain. And if more than the 20 carbon atoms attached, then it is a very long chain. So in the next example, short or the long chain fatty acids. Okay, the number of carbon atoms present decide the length of the chain, and that is actually the fatty acid. So short chain fatty acid contain 4 to 6 carbon atoms, medium chain 8 to 12 carbon atoms, and the long chain are more than more than 20, but otherwise 14 to 18, and the extra long chain more than 20 carbon atoms in the molecule. So these are the basically the types of the fatty acids. Now what is a saturated fatty acid and the unsaturated fatty acid? We heard these terms many times in our day-to-day life. So a fatty acid chain, basically of a specific chain length, depends upon the number of the carbon atoms, has a fixed maximum number of the hydrogen atoms, like in this, fixed number of hydrogen atoms. Okay, so certain fatty acids have as many hydrogen atoms as a carbon chain can hold. So they are called the saturated fatty acids. And in the unsaturated fatty acid, the capacity, they have the capacity to hold more hydrogen. Means ki some hydrogen may be missing, that's why they can hold more hydrogen. So those are known as the unsaturated. If these hydrogens are missing, they become the unsaturated, means they have the capacity to hold more hydrogen atoms. So those are the unsaturated one. Okay, yes. So saturated fatty acids have a single bond also between the carbon atoms, and they don't have any double bond between the carbon one. So this is also a difference between the saturated one, and the example is the stearic acid, and the sources are the all animal fat. All animal fat are the saturated one, including the meat, which also contain the high amount of the fat, the coconut, the palm also. And the unsaturated fatty acids have one or the more double bands in their molecules. In this picture, yeah, the carbon and the carbon together joined here with a single one. So this is a, you can say, so the saturated one. If this, like this is the become the double bond, then that will become the unsaturated one. And one or more difference is this, the attachment of the hydrogen. Okay. So the unsaturated fatty acid have one or the more double bonds in their molecule and are thus not saturated with the hydrogen. Okay, they have some capacity or the to join the more of the hydrogen. Those sources are the all plant fat except the coconut and the palm oil are the unsaturated one. Okay, so the monosaturated fatty acids MUFA have the, this is actually the short form of this monosaturated fatty acids known as MUFA, have only the one double bond in the molecules, and that is the unsaturated one. The example is the oleic acid, which is found in the olive oil. Okay, so that's why the unsaturated fatty acids sometimes we find good, but they are available. And the polyunsaturated fatty acids known as a PUFA, they have two or the more double bonds. If the single double bond is there, that is a mono one, and if the more than two, then those are known as a polyunsaturated. And the example is the corn oil. Okay, so what is important fats in our body? Okay, so um, the triglycerides basically, these are the one uh, uh, if has a some lipids consist basically the fatty acid, so three with the three fatty acid, one glycerol is attached to that, and that has become the lipids are basically which consist of glycerol or the glyceride, and when they attach with the three fatty acids, then they become the glycerides. Maybe is a picture, yes. So uh no, this is, can say so. Okay, this is a picture of the glycerol. So fatty acid basically when combined with glycerol, three fatty acid combined with one glycerol, then it becomes a triglyceride. Okay, it's from a glyceride. When one fatty acid become combines with the glycerol one, then it becomes a monoglycerides. If the two, then diglycerides. If the three, then it becomes a triglycerides. Okay, so this is a structure of glycerol, which is basically the this one triglyceride. Okay, yeah, glycerol this is a structure of the glycerol which gets attached with the fatty acids. So most of the fatty acid in the body are is also in the food occur in the form of the triglycerides. These are the type of a glyceride which fatty acid which is found in our body. So lipids or the fatty acids basically found in our body in various forms. So first of all, it's a triglyceride. Every time a glyceride crosses a cell membrane, whenever it enters over the body, it must be broken. Then after it enters the cell, then again it is reformed. So it should be break before entering into our cell. Okay, is it okay? Next is the in the digestion, basically most triglycerides. Yes.
Ma'am, in unsaturated and saturated fatty acid, which is healthier? Is it anything like that?
Actually, as such, the unsaturated one are from the plant sources, and they are said to be a good one, basically.
Basically, omega 3 and omega 6 are the useful one, madam, and trans are the non-useful one from a monosaturated fatty acid.
Yeah, your voice is breaking.
Ma'am, monosaturated fatty acid, in that will be a trans fat will be there. Na? It is a non-useful fat. No? Means it is not good for the body. And polysaturated fatty acid, in that there will be a more omega 3 and omega 6 are useful fats.
Okay. Because actually, there's a term of like the cholesterol now also. So basically, cholesterol is basically present in the animal sources. So, and cholesterol is also good for us, but not in the extra, already actually present in our body. है ना? Or this is the so, and jo the all the plant sources one are basically in that oils, cholesterol is actually not present. So it's a very misconception when they write on their uh, 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 the oils ki it is zero cholesterol. It means ki they don't have already in that, the company does not manufacture anything in that, and basically this is a natural form, and the cholesterol is also not present in that basically. And about this saturated and unsaturated, so this is a thing which actually the trans one is they are good one. The polyunsaturated one basically are the good one now. Yes, Karthik, is it so now? You are
You are
right.
yes, madam.
Yeah.
Unsaturated fatty acids are good one.
So
Trans fat is not good for health, madam. It causes the cardiovascular diseases, increases in the chances of the cancer and all, madam.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
saturated basically they that is glyceride basically, which is solid at the room temperature basically, and they basically gets accumulated and gives blockages in your arteries, and many cardiac problems arise because of those. And the triglycerides, the unsaturated one, are basically the oils, and they are liquid at the room temperature basically. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Next is the phospholipids. So phospholipids are also, it's a type of lipid which has a actually also glycerol and a two fatty acid chains basically attached to that, the first two carbons. So, and the third, and the third position, at the third position of the carbon, a phosphate group is attached. That's why the name is a phospholipid.
phospholipid.
Uh,
Uh, madam,
anyone?
slides are everyone are visible. That slides.
Actually, the
Actually,
slide, it's not present in the slide.
the slide. Okay, madam.
Yeah. So there are the present in every cell. They are formed mainly in the liver from fatty acids, the phospholipids. I'm just telling you how the manufacturing of this. Na? So the glycerol, the phosphoric acid, the phosphate group is basically attached to the lipid. That's why the name is a phospholipid. And it is not necessary to provide phospholipid in diet, as our body makes these when and where it needs, because it's basically form in our liver. So outside sources are not so needed for in our body. Okay. So it takes part in the basically fat digestion. Whenever whatever the fat we have taken, it helps in the digestion of the fat. So phospholipids are important components of the active tissues. Basically, they need in the basically whenever you read about the cell in the and during the anatomy classes, so the membrane of the cell is a bilipid layer, the phospholipid layer. So it's a very active tissue. So it is in the brain, nervous tissues, and liver, and it's very important for those organs and also for the cell membrane. So phospholipids are basically the powerful emulsifying agents and are essential for the digestion and also for the absorption of the fats. And the phospholipids help to carry lipid particles because it's hydrophobic and the hydrophilic. Whenever you know, so they attract the lipid particles and they help to make them across the cell membrane, especially in the bloodstream. Okay, so all cell membranes contain a basically a lipid bilayer of this, which makes them help in the the transfer of the lipid particles. Is it okay? Then the next form of fatty acid is the chole- cholesterol. So cholesterol is basically it's a sort of a steroid, we can say so, because the compound that has four rings of carbon atoms are make these steroids. So the cholesterol is a basically essential part of each cell, and every type of the human cell makes cholesterol. So each day our liver makes about 800 milligram of cholesterol, okay, which circulate through the bloodstream and is used wherever it is needed. So it is a basically helps in absorption of the vitamin D, is a precursor of the vitamin D, some hormones also, and bile acids also. So cholesterol is the most abundant basically steroid in animals, and it's a major component of the animal plasma membrane. Okay, it's also present in there. Then the hormones made from cholesterol include corticosteroids. It also helps in the making of these, the estrogen, the testosterone, the calcium. We are also these hormones are also known as the steroid now, so it's a part of that also. So the sexual hormones are also makeup of this. Then the bile acids, actually bile acids, it's obtained from the hydrolysis of the human bile, and it is secreted into the small intestines. uh, then bile emulsifies the lipids and aids in the digestion. So the bile acids needs for fat digestion are formed from the cholesterol also, that bile basically. So liver actually where the cholesterol is basically it's making by the liver. The liver also makes it bile. This bile is basically where it is needed for the digestion of the fat. That is also, that bile also made from the cholesterol. Then the cholesterol content of the heart, liver, kidney, and egg is quite high. Basically there the quantity is more comparatively to other. And in infancy and in the toddler stage, there is a develop, that is a basically developing age. So new tissues are formed, the especially the brain, which also needed at that time the cholesterol. So and hence fat should not be restricted in the diet of the children up to the 5 years of age, because that is a developing age. Cholesterol is needed um, very much in that age group. Then the lipoproteins are also synthesized in the liver. So they are composed of the two-third to three-fourth to two-third lipids, and the remainder जो होता है protein. So these
So
serve as
these serve as
major
a major
vehicle
vehicle.
fat
Hydrocholesterol means what, madam?
G.
Dehydrocholesterol means what?
What?
What? Dehydrocholesterol, madam.
Dehydro.
Dehydro Dehydrocholesterol, madam.
Dehydrocholesterol.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
I have to check hydrocholesterol. I
Okay,
have,
madam. Continue.
yeah,
It's okay, madam. Continue.
okay. It's a plant steroid, basically. No, no, dehydrocholesterol. I will check it later on and then discuss with you. Okay. It may be the part of the other lipids because types of lipids are there. Okay. So lipoproteins are basically, they are the major vehicle for the fat transportation in the bloodstream. Then the function of the fatty acid, basically the term fat may be associated in your mind with a substance which is very harmful for health. But fat is a very major nutrient and it serves several function also very important for our body. So oils and fats are concentrated sources of energy, because we know very well, in the out of the three major nutrients, the carbohydrates, protein and fat also are the sources of the energy, and they gives much more energy comparatively to the carbohydrates and the protein. And they, how much supplies energy? 9 calories now. Out of when 1 gram of fat provide us 9 kilocalorie of energy, basically. So beside providing energy, they have also several functions. So that is Artha, they act as a, they aid the transport and the absorption of the fat soluble vitamins. We will discuss vitamins later on, but we have the two category of the vitamins, the water soluble one and the fat soluble. So the fat soluble vitamins are dissolved, they need to absorbed or dissolved in the body the medium of the fat. So fat also helps them in their absorption. And the cholesterol is an essential lipid synthesis in the liver also. We discussed right now some important hormones are also made from this, and the bile acids are formed from the cholesterol. So fats are used in the synthesis of the phospholipids also, which are found in the all cells. So, and the fat stored in the various part of the body, which is known as the adipose tissue beneath our skin also. So the vital organs in the body are supported and protected by a web like padding of the tissues, like have you seen the players, especially like the cricketers, they usually use the leg guard or the elbow guard, है ना? What is that? What that is basically a protection against their in body. So this fat also present in our body against our vital organs or around our whole body beneath the skin, so that they gives the protection to our body or the internal organs, and they act also the shock absorber. Whenever injury or some jerk is given to body, they absorb that jerk and act as a shock absorber for our body. So fats act as a cushion for certain vital organs. So, and then also the nerve fibers are protected by the fat covering, and it aids relay of the nerve impulse also. So since fat is a poor conductor of heat, basically a layer of the free fat beneath the skin helps to conserve our body heat also, है ना? Which regulate our body temperature. So they gives insulation also to our body. A layer of the stored fat under the skin also act as an insulator and keep our body warm, especially in the weather of the cold. The layer of the fat is basically uh, gives make a thermal regulation of our body, gives the heat. And the flavor, the palatability and the satiety value of food is increased by fats also, because the satiety value also because whenever you feel when you have a lot of fat in your diet, the you feel not hungry for a long time. Why? Because fat needs a more time to digest. That's why it gives a satiety value also after taking a very heavy meal, especially which include the fat or like the oil, like the things in your diet. You feel so you don't feel hungry for a long time period. Okay, now the essential fatty acids. So the essential fatty acids, like the linoleic acid, which is the omega 6 PUFA, the polyunsaturated fatty acid, and linoleic or linolenic acid, which is omega 3. These are called basically the essential fatty acids. Why? First of all, they are not synthesized in the human body. That's why if our body make these things, though they are not so much of needed, but we have to include these from the outsources. So, and they are very important because they are very helpful in some in functions of our body, and they are available only through the diet. So what are the functions? They are essential for growth, basically for the young ones, and maintenance of the normal healthy skin. And the other functions are basically components of the membrane, the cell membrane, to basically to ensure that their permeability, to allow some particles to transfer from through the layer, and ensure their permeability to water and other small molecules also. So the presence of these essential fatty acid is very important, and they are also the precursors of the eicosanoids. It is a group of basically metabolites which regulate our vascular function, the हमारा blood circulation, because one of these prostaglandin basically. Okay, so whenever we feel and we get any injury or feel pain, the prostaglandins help in the improving. So the presence of this fatty acid is also there. So the omega 3 fatty acids, the DHA, that is a docosahexaonic acid, and the EPA, icosapentonic acid, have an important role in the fetal brain and the eye development. Basically the during the fetus development, so the brain development is very necessary. As such, the development of the whole body is very necessary, but the fetal brain development is very necessary during the initial days of the pregnancy. If the deficiency of this thing happen, so maybe the child may develop some neural malfunctionings. So the cover those things, so that child will become will deliver a healthy child, the fetus. So these fatty acids are very necessary in there, in the diet of the mother. So these acids also protect against rheumatoid arthritis and the cardiovascular diseases also in the adults. Okay, so what is the digestion? How the digestion and the absorption of the fat? So basically, in the process of the digestion, fats break down in which components? In their prime components, the constituent components, that is the fatty acids and the glycerol, है ना? By which they are making. Though the two enzymes which aid in the digestion of fats are, first of all, the gastric lipase, because in the stomach, the digestion start in the stomach, or as such. Uh, which digestion starts in the mouth? Can anyone tell me?
Carbohydrate.
Carbohydrate, ma'am.
Carbohydrates, yes. With the help of which enzyme?
Saliva,
Salivary amylase.
Saliva contain which enzyme?
Amylase.
Amylase. Yes, very good. So the digestion of fat starts in stomach, where a coarse emulsion forms basically due to the churning action of the stomach, and the chemical changes necessary for fat digestion occur in the small intestine. But in the stomach, the digestion of fats are happen due to the presence of the gastric lipase, which is present in the gastric juice of the stomach and in the small intestine, with the help of the pancreatic lipase, which is prepared by the pancreas. And the entry of the fat in the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, stimulates secretion of the bile from the gallbladder. The bile from the which is manufactured by the liver, basically stored in the gallbladder, then from the common bile duct, it gets enter into the small intestine, and the pancreatic juice from the pancreas also enters in that part of the small intestine, that is a duodenum. And the after the digestion, which started in the stomach with the help of the gastric lipase, that digestion of the fatty things completed in the small intestine in the first part of the duodenum. So that fat gets emulsified by the bile, preparing it for the digestion. Then the fat is broken into the small particles. They are become like the missiles. है ना? You seen some oil droplets in the water like things, though that becomes like a missiles, and thus increasing the surface area and improving the enzyme action and for penetration, basically. So the secretion of the liver, called the bile, also helps in the digestion by breaking fat into these small droplets, and then these droplets dispersed in the liquid digestive juice, and so that they can easily acted upon by the enzymes, and the chiefly digested in the small intestine, and then further uh, uh, go taken by the basically the blood, okay, in the intestinal cells to the blood circulation. Then the fatty acids and glycerol particles, which do not travel directly into the bloodstream, what happen? They first enter the network of the vessels, where in the small intestines villi, also the in the lymph vessels also. So the fatty acids from these lymph vessels enter where? Lymph circulation enters into the heart, then it moves into the circulation. So blood then carries these either towards the adipose tissue, where they are stored to give the energy whenever required, or to the cells, where they are directly broken down and also gives energy. Either they are used for as a energy or stored. Okay. So this fat, it's for the purpose of the digestion, it disperses in these fat droplets, which are known as a micellae, which easily move into the intestinal cells. So pancreatic lipase break off one fatty acid at a time from the triglycerides, and the one fatty acid plus a triglyceride, then another fatty acid plus a monosaccharides, and then the glycerol are produced. Like this, they break these fats. What is the recommended dietary RDA that for the fat? So almost our total fat is basically 20 to 35% of the energy should come from the fats. The total fat intake is slightly higher for children because they are in the growing stage, and the children have age of 4 to 18, matlab, till the adulthood. They are recommended taking the 25 to 35%, and in the children's ages 2 to 4, 30 to 40%. That's why we try to give them a lot of ghee and fried things, so that they need it actually. In the adulthood, we cut it down. So saturated fat should make up no more than the 10% of the calories consumed in a day, basically, and the remaining from the unsaturated fats. Okay. So here we discuss cholesterol. Basically, cholesterol is also a fat-like substance which is present in the basically food. So it is also a structure from the triglycerides. But the animals' foods actually they are rich in cholesterol. They are all contained. They are the rich sources of the cholesterol, like the milk, egg, meat, ghee, butter, cream, all the sources of these animals. But the plant food, like the vegetable oil that we use, this groundnut oil, mustard oil, soya bean oil, they don't have actually they don't contain cholesterol. Any oil seeds, any nuts or the seeds or the plant, they don't contain the cholesterol. So some manufacturer basically they try to mislead the public by claiming that it contains no cholesterol. So don't be a fool and told them ki, it's a vegetable oils does not contain cholesterol. So it's a misconception basically, and that cholesterol basically very important role in our body. As we know, they are the basically important component of the cell membrane, and basically the biles they need in the digestion and the absorption of the fat, and for the some vitamins also, and for the synthesis of hormones also. So cholesterol is also very necessary. But uh, mm, from which sources you are taking, though we have to look this. So we completed this topic. Have you taken next topic? We have time? No, 7:25. So any questions?
No, ma'am.
Is it okay? So shall I take